shut this door. Oh, there we go. All right. See how good it is? Oh, I have Wi-Fi in here. Ain't that a blessing?
You're already on the Wi-Fi?
Yeah. I forgot about that. Make sure it's... Sometimes my phone could be a little funky. Oh, there we go. All right.
All right. I guess everybody can hear us.
Yeah, I hope everybody can hear us.
I don't know if we've ever used these mics on live.
Well,
can anybody hear us?
They should be able to.
All right.
I know the ones that I have. I think Chad at C2 has some similar ones, and
okay.
When we did the expo up in Tennessee, we used the same ones.
Good deal.
If y'all can hear me or can't hear me, let us know. But you guys, for those of you who don't know this man right here, this is Kaleb Page. He is the co-founder and owner of Catch the Fever. So if any of you guys have seen the Hellcat Rods or Big Cat Fever rods, Striper Stealth, Precision casting rods, or the slime line, fishing line, this is the man behind all of that right here. And we're going to talk a lot of different avenues today, from the business to the industry, and a little bit of fishing, because obviously that's a passion we all share. So.
For sure.
And if you guys, any of you guys that are watching, comment your questions. If you guys have a question that you want to ask Kaleb, or you want to ask me, either one, comment and we will we'll get to it. But I want to start off with, obviously you've told me this story before, but let's start off from the very beginning. How did you guys come up with the idea for Catch the Fever?
So Catch the Fever, I mean, it's been our entire lifetime in the making. Fishing local tournaments, and I mean, it's literally a story that could go an hour. But in a nutshell, to kind of break it down for people wondering how this brand got started, just seeing a need, going fishing all the time, dragging the boat into work. I mean, you had to be at work at 8 o'clock. You'd fish all night, drag your boat in the parking lot, and sleep in the car until work opens up. I mean, you just obsessed about fishing. And about 8 years ago, there was really nothing out there that was really a good in-between for guys that fish rivers and lakes. So decided back then, like, hey, let's try to make a rod that would work good slinging 10 ounces of weight, at the same time 2 ounces of weight, reeling in big fish and small fish. And that's when the Big Cat Fever rod was born. So really, it was just about needing something, and nothing was out there, and that fit our needs. And acting on it. And then from that, we launched just a small handful of rods and Zach Royce was our first pro staffer. And we launched those rods, and Zach caught those couple state records back to back in less than 24 hours. And before you know it, like, the brand and everybody started trying the products. And instead of getting that first wave of customers and them saying, oh man, these products are junk, blah, 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 everybody was like, man, these things are fire. So they kept coming back. They kept telling friends. So really, word of mouth really built this brand in the beginning. And it's been a ride.
Yeah. Obviously, the first time I ever met Kaleb, he mentioned Zach Royce. The first time I met Kaleb, we had gone out with Zach Royce, and that was the first time I had ever seen a Big Cat Fever rod in person. Obviously, Zach was using them, and what really got me, and I tell this a lot, is, we went out there, and I had a lot of questions about, the business and the rods, this was before I really started fishing big water. Mm-hmm. And I attribute Kaleb here a lot of the reason, because I couldn't find anybody to go in to fish with Zach with me, and I really wanted to learn big water. So here comes Kaleb. I'd never met Kaleb, never talked to him, and he was just like, let's go. And but he was just really cool, because you go out there, and it wasn't a sales pitch. It was just, we went out there and just had a ball. We caught a ton of fish. We talked about, fishing.
Oh, we had a blast.
We talked about everything under the sun, and that was just like, this person I've never met. I said, this is somebody that is for the anglers, that wants what's best for the anglers, wants to see this sport grow. And I said, this is just awesome. And so,
if you need to read questions, you can use
oh,
it.
thank you.
No, I was sitting here looking. I was sitting here thinking. I was like, I got this phone in my hand. I'm gonna give it to Bobby in case he needs to pull up anything.
Appreciate you.
But,
yeah, my eyesight's not good. So.
No. But absolutely. I mean, I remember that. I remember I was still working my 9 to 5, and I was like, yeah, like Zach was kind of new, like getting into the guiding thing, and you had made that post, like, need somebody to go have these own and get the guide trip booked. And we had a blast, man. We had an absolute blast. And Zach put us on the fish, and I mean, we've just stayed in touch ever since.
Yeah. And it's really funny. Not too long after that, I moved down to Wilmington, and I brought bought my first big cat fever rod, and I thought I was on top of the world. I was like, this is awesome. I was catching stingrays with it, sharks with it, like, because I lived at the coast.
Oh yeah.
And as much as I'm near the Cape Fear River, I still didn't know a lot of big water, but it was like the rod. That big cat fever rod, it was like, I was like, I want to put it to the test. So you're catching sharks, like I said, big stingrays, and it was like, this thing is just, it feels good. It feels comfortable. And so talk about since then, obviously a lot of different skews and a lot of different avenues too. I mean, now you've got we've got your catfishing gear, you've got the striper stealth rod, you've got the precision crappie rods. Talk about what made you transition into almost a strictly catfishing company and start branching out into these other, targeting these other species.
Yeah. Anything that we do, we start out with catfishing, like you said. I mean, and we're still, we devote a lot of product development, a lot of time, a lot of energy to the catfish market. But for us, anytime like we're looking to head on to that new species, create products for them, we let the market tell us when it's ready. When we launched the catfish, I mean, we had a lot of guys, Chip and all those guys say, hey, look, what you're doing with the catfish rods, they would work really good for striper. It's just we need a lighter blank. We need to make a rod for us. But you really came out here in the catfish market. You showed that you can create a good product, stand behind it. Guys love it, so why not develop a rod for us? And that onesies, twosies, people messaging saying that turned into be a bunch where they were like, dude, you need to make us a striper rod. So we knew then, okay, like now it's time. We've got a lot of demand that's asking for this. So during that time, another thing was there was no striper rod other than like an ugly stick striper rod or a Daiwa striper rod. These guys were putting $120 to $400 reels on $40 striper sticks, and there was nothing available that was like a really nice premium lineup of striper rods. So we immediately worked with Chip Bragg and Mike Smedley. Mike Smedley, all he does is tour the country and just fish for striper. Chip is a full-time striper fishing guide. He designed those rods with Mike from top to bottom. Those are dialed in for what a striper guy needs, from medium light all the way to extra heavy. And then after that, then we showed like, hey, we can move striper rods. We know how to develop a striper rod. We listen to the anglers. We have the capability. We're growing as a brand, and that's when the crappie guys started coming in and saying like, dude, we need a crappie rod. We need a crappie rod. And we wait to, for that market to come in. I think a lot of brands, it's a landmine out there. Even when you're selling product and, you feel like you're becoming successful, there's a million ways you can blow it up. And one of the biggest things that you can do is launch into a new product or a new SKU of species, and your audience isn't ready. You're not ready. We've learned from those times when like we were about to do something or we did do something, and there's a lot of things that you have to avoid, and you have to let the market tell you when you're ready.
Absolutely. So let's talk. Obviously you mentioned Zach Royce. He caught those 2 records. There's quite a few state records that have been broken. But before we get into the records, I want to talk about a fish that it didn't quite break a record. But in my opinion, I mean, it's one of the most well-known catches. I mean, just based on we're talking about the second largest blue catfish that has ever been caught, and the largest blue catfish ever caught in a tournament, 141 pounds by Dale Lowe. So kind of walk me through when you got that that phone call?
Oh, dude.
What were you thinking? I mean, both from obviously, you knew Dale.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, prior to that.
Yeah.
You know, what were you thinking about? You know, the brain. You know, from the rod standpoint, but also on that personal. What was going through your head when you heard about that thing?
Holy crap! That's what I was thinking. I mean, Tony and Zach Royce were fishing on. I think it was the Angler Quest. I think I was with Angler Quest boats at that time, and that was kind of like the first tournament we were fishing in it. And I mean, we were just slaying fish. We were catching them, and Dale Lowe calls me, and he's like, "Dude, I just caught the world record." And I said, "Dale, there's no way. The world record's 143." He's like, "Oh yeah, he's bigger than that," and he was. A lot of people, don't know this, but it was larger than the world record. It was just until it got to the scales, it was no longer a world record. They decided to hold that fish in a tank that was actually Austin Sarton's boat that is actually built, a live well built for a world record. And, and rightfully I understand they wanted to wait to the end of the ice bowl, make that grand weigh-in and let that fish relax, which was not a bad move, but it had lost some weight during those times, waiting to the end of the tournament. And I think when it hit the scales, it was 141. I mean, it was like 1.5 pounds short of the world record. But when that phone call came and Dale said, "I have the world record," I was like, oh my goodness. Like, this is going to be huge. This is going to be massive. Like, and when you see that fish for the first time and you lay eyes on it, your eyes just don't do it justice. It just don't do you justice. You just don't know what you're looking at. It was a dinosaur, but the amount of excitement that was on that boat. Here we are, still a new rod company. We already knocked out a couple state records, and now we're about to have the world record. We were like, dude, we're in the right place. We're in the right business.
Absolutely. Now, let's transition into some records that have been broken. Dale's on here, said, "What a memory."
Hey, what up, Dale? Yeah, man.
Dale Lowe.
We'll never forget it.
So let's transition, and again, into some of the state records. So let's first talk about, you catch a fish that is eligible for the state record program. Talk about what that's going to get you.
Absolutely. So if you catch a state record, you first need to go to catchfever.com, and you need to look at, go ahead. You need to go to catchfever.com and click on Payouts, and you need to look at what species you're going for, and get the rod that is hooked up for your species. Like, for instance, if you're a catfisherman, it shows that Big Cat Fever and Hellcat Rods, if you catch a catfish, it qualifies as a state record. If you're a crappie guy, then you'd want to buy the Precision Crappie Rods. And you go on there, see what rod you need for your species that qualifies. And read those terms and conditions. There's not a gotcha. People think we have an insurance program that pays out, and it's not. I mean, we purposely hired attorneys to write those terms and conditions so we didn't have to have some gotcha insurance program that says, oh, it was a Tuesday and it was raining. That doesn't qualify. For us, it's pretty clear. It's you follow the steps on that guideline, and you're using a Catch the Fever rod and wearing a piece of Catch the Fever apparel in that photo, you're getting $20,000 for the rod and an additional $5,000 for the apparel, and we paid it out multiple times.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. And to think, I mean, it's not something that you got to go out and you don't have to buy, just picking 100, it'd be great if you did, I'm sure, but you never know when it can happen, and you always have a chance. You get that one rod out.
Whoever called it said, I would have never thought I was the guy that would have done it. I'd have never thought it. I mean, they all say the same thing. I never thought it would have been me.
And that's the beauty of fishing, and that's why we go fishing.
That's right.
And that's why I asked that question, because a lot of people, when you're weighing pros and cons, not only what feels right for you, what's priced right for you, but there's other added benefits to using a certain product that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah.
And so transitioning into that, obviously when you guys started, obviously very small, and as obviously as it's grown, there's been more people, but how as a company have you learned to adapt as you've grown? What have you done?
Man, like I said, it's a landmine out there. From going from a small single room with 200 rods in it, to now, we have, with the space that we take up, is now 20,000 square feet from the big part of the warehouse to the production side and the offices. It's 20,000 square feet, and a lot of people don't know this, but you're actually going to be seeing a lot of our products coming out of Missouri and some other states. We are opening up another location out there. We've been flying back and forth, trying to make sure that everything's in place and in order. And those are big moves. Like when you're trying to tackle onto the West Coast and you're getting all these things ready to fire for big international shipments and stuff, you've got to have your ducks in a row. And adapting is one of the biggest things, especially with my background. I just fix refrigerators. It takes getting around a group of people that have the same goals you do to help you get where you need to go. And nowadays, that was very difficult back then, and we had to learn stuff the hard way. I mean, we really do, and we still do. We still learn stuff the hard way. But now we have a team of people that are out there that help us. I mean, meeting them at iCast and finding the people and networking with the people that can help you scale, reach the audience, while all at the same time maintaining quality control and doing the right things. Because anything that you want to do in life, it doesn't matter what you want to do, there's somebody out there that's already done it. They've already done it. And my philosophy is, especially nowadays, is I never take direction from somebody who's not standing where I want to go. So now when I'm looking to scale out to box stores, because we'll be announcing in the next 2 weeks some big box stores that we're getting ready to. We're about to take this warehouse out here and fill the entire thing up with racking equipment. This is about to be a central hub for it. Now, when you're looking to do that, you have to have people. You don't want to figure that out on your own. That's how you go broke. I mean, you will go broke in a heartbeat. So you have to get around people that have been where you're already trying to go and team up with those people to get to the finish line. So it's all about teaming up with people. It's no different if you don't have somebody. You say, well, Caleb, I don't have anybody that's next to me that owns a rod company or has a podcast or something like that. If you're looking to start a podcast, YouTube it. YouTube, what is the right mics to get? What kind of mic can I get by with? Here's my budget. What kind of this? Everything is available nowadays to get you started. But so many people lack the effort to just get started and to take the time to learn how to do what they want to do and then execute on it. And then once you do that, you execute, then you will start to draw in the people that can help you get where you want to get to. And that's the main thing, is get an idea what you want to do, take the time to learn how to do it, execute on it, and you'll attract the people that'll get you where you want to go.
That is well said. So, Mr. Shane Walter said, let's talk about Caleb's record fish. So, for those of you who don't know, Kaleb Page has caught the largest blue catfish ever documented at the James River. So, let's go ahead and get into that. Walk me through that day and, I mean, that whole...
That was crazy. So, Dylan Weaver was with me. He actually works for the company now. I think he was like 15, 16... No, maybe he was 17 back then. He's 24 now. He's got his master's in biology, or his degree in biology, and he came back to work for Catfish Fever. That was crazy. He was on the boat with me. We were 1 week away from launching the big Cat Fever rods. So I said, Dylan, how about you skip school and come with me for about 3 full days to go and fish the James River. We need to get these GoPros and get some good footage. And lo and behold, on the last day, at like 30 minutes before the sun went down, we hooked that blue and was able to film it. That GoPro died. He picked up another GoPro, filmed part of that, then picked up a cell phone, filmed that, because it was at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And that boat only had one cigarette outlet that you could plug something up to, so everything was dead. So that video was actually able to get put together, and now it's on YouTube. And that was crazy. And I remember the phone calls started coming in once that fish was weighed and everything. The big game scales have always been known for being a very accurate scale. Very accurate. I mean, we had just got that big game scale just for this. I mean, I was ready to send it in to be certified and everything. and it actually had the big handles. We had made like a big metal handle for it, and yeah, that was insane because that actually got us into some of the box stores up that way, or like some of the independently owned box stores that fish. But incredible. That was back in the days where I wanted to be the world's best catfisherman. Now I just want to work with some of the best.
Well, he's always going to be one of the best in my eyes, no matter what he says.
Maybe I'll come out of retirement one day.
Come on now. Come on now. In the meantime, we'll chase skipjack or hickory shad up at Weldon.
That's exactly
when they come in. I've got another one. Craig Banks said, let's talk about CatCon 2024. Obviously, CatCon, for those of you who don't know, is the Catfish Conference. It's the largest conference for catfishing and now also crappie gear. So walk us through preparations, planning, and execution for the CatCon in Kentucky.
Absolutely. So about a month ago, we started planning for Catfish Conference about a month ago. So now things are a lot different when we prepare for Catfish Conference. If you haven't been, it's off the rails. I mean, it is literally go, 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 go. From the time you get to the door to the time you leave. I mean, it's anglers from all over the country coming under one roof to check out the latest and greatest catfish products and see what's out there and get their hands on stuff that's launching for that next year. And we are actually going to be launching some new stuff and showing guys at Catfish Conference this year. Preparation is a lot different than years before now. Like I said, about a month ago, we started and putting in our order just for Catfish Conference. That way, it's got its own separate order. It's got its own separate stuff. We don't have to worry about if we're going to sell out, if we're not. But this year is going to probably be the biggest show for Catch the Fever for sure. I think we're going to really come out there and show some muscle at the show and show guys that we're here to innovate. We're here to represent. We're here to excite you and give you product that you expect when you see that CF Hook logo. And that's what we're going to do until we're dead and gone, brother. But Catfish Conference this year for Catch Fever, we're really excited. Super excited.
Good deal. I know I'm excited for it. I work already knew, but I had to let them know that I wasn't going to be there.
Yeah.
During that time.
And it's always good to have you there too.
Oh,
man,
absolutely.
You're such a huge help. You're such a huge help.
Oh man, not as big of a help as you are.
Man, you sold a lot of rods last year.
It was a fun time. I love talking with everybody, and I mean, it's just it's otherworldly. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. It was my first Catfish Conference, and the only other conference I had been to was the Raleigh one. And man, CatCon blew that Raleigh one out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of fun, but.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the brand for a second, and this is a question that I know I get asked a lot, and I know every company's got a different criteria. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about Prostaff, brand ambassador, affiliates, and what are some of the qualifications for each? So obviously, brand ambassador is one separate kind of group of people, and then you've got your affiliates. Mm-hmm. So talk about each of them, some qualifications, what you look for, and some of the benefits of each.
Yeah, absolutely. We get guys that ask us a lot of times, I want to know what it takes to be a brand ambassador for the company. And brand ambassador is somebody that we do lean on pretty heavily when it comes on developing products that are going to perform extremely well in tournament settings as well as a recreational settings. When we think of like bringing on somebody for a brand ambassador, really like those seasoned veterans. And for somebody watching, don't think that you've got to be 50 years old and gray hair to have that seasonal. Not that seasonal, but that seasoned knowledge that really just you've been around a while. Don't feel like that because. It's all on how hard you want to go. I mean, all my competitors are way older than me. Most of them, not way older, but a lot older than me. And I look at it like it's how hard you want to go. So don't feel like you have to be catfishing for 10 years to be able to know, what to do and how to compete and be a brand ambassador for Catch Fever. It's not. It's just how much and how fast you want to put effort into it. but what we look for with the ambassador side is just that seasoned knowledge in when you speak, people know that you are dialed into what catfish do, how they react, different tips, techniques for targeting them. You've been around, and you have a stack of receipts that show that no matter what, you know for a fact what you're talking about because you've got the receipts. You got the receipts that the proof is in the pudding. And when you go over to the affiliate side, it's a super good time there as well because we work with those guys. They got a lot of attention, a lot of audience, a lot of enthusiasm. They use the products. They're knowledgeable of the products, and they're out there to show you, hey, this is what we use. This is the brand we work with, and here are the products that we're out here using day in and day out. I love our affiliate. I love our ambassadors too. I do. I love our affiliates. So I like the energy they bring and just really getting people fired up to put our hands on our products, you know. And affiliates, they're fire. I mean, we all love, I woke up on Sunday just about dead and get on there. I'll see Bobby on there and he's fishing and
casting into a tree.
Yeah, casting into a tree and stuff like that. It's such a good vibe. It's a good time. And it don't matter. I guess for me, there's really not like a hard line. Because I got people that are friends that they're neither. You know, and they're just like family to me. I mean, that's the thing about our brand, me, Tony, and all of us. I mean, we look at it like everybody's family. I mean, that's really what it is.
Absolutely. And I've got a catching state record payout from Catch the Fever. What's coming in the near future? So talk about that. So obviously the payout just increased from
10,000.
It was 10,000
to 20,000 plus the additional 5.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, but you're wondering what is coming in the future, if anything,
with the payout. Yeah, there may be. Yep, there may be. We've looked into all the different ways to do it, and as far as like the just initial burst of money, the style and structure of the payout, that'll never change. That'll never ever change. Just because when you catch it, it's a guarantee, man. Like you've got that, and you know, things change, technology changes, so you know. We want to be able to pay that out, reward that, move on, change things as we need to, and go down the road. But that structure and style, but maybe how often it's paid out, I think you might be surprised in the near future. You know, there might not ever be an end cap, or there may be some things after if somebody catches it. I mean, I think you're going to like what you see with Catch Fever. As we get to be a bigger brand and we're serving anglers more on a national level, serving them on the crappie market. We just came back from Alabama at one of the biggest crappie shows out there. That was awesome. As we go and grow in this market, we have to be able to expand our state record payout so that way it's not just paid out that quick. We want to be able to service all the guys because we're paying out for crappie anglers, striper guys, and catfish nowadays. So we're always making some improvements to the payout.
That is awesome. So here's one. Will there ever be bass rods?
I don't think so. And I never say no to anything anymore. I never say no. You know, one of the biggest things that for our market is staying in what's true to us, and that is where we're at. You know, I'm not saying like we wouldn't go into like inshore rods because we were about to launch that, and to a lot of brands that are new or coming on the scene. That's all about timing and being in the right, like we said before, in the right market space, and you are almost forced. You have to almost be forced to go into another market because you have so much demand for it before you do it. So with us right now, there's so much low-hanging fruit for us and our customers. I don't see in the next 10 years where we'll be in the bass market. But of course, there might come a time where we're ready and we're geared up, to do just that. And I think somebody's moving a bunch of stuff out there. But that may be way down the line.
Awesome. So let's talk about, obviously, this coming Friday. For those of you who don't know, there is a new Skew of Hellcats coming out that will be released, I should say. And that is the yellow. So kind of walk us through the preparations for that. I mean, any new Skew that comes out. Okay. I mean, do you have a date planned out, months ahead, or is it something that's kind of as it kind of gets closer, you're like, it's kind of time?
Well, as you guys, if you followed the TikTok, our Facebook pages, you've seen the yellow Hellcat probably for 2
years.
About 2 years. We've been sliding that in and out, and we knew it's going to be green, orange, and then going from the orange, we knew it was the pink. And then we were really saving that yellow for last just because that's probably going to be where that ends for the Hellcat, possibly. But we're already designing out further now. So you've seen the Hellcat, the yellow Hellcat, for about 2 years now in some of the posts and stuff because you've commented on them. And saying, when are we going to get that? When are we going to see that? But for a launch like we're about to do this Friday, it's a lot of preparation. People be surprised. You have to sign off on that blank. You have to sign off on that color. Once you get a rod design, then you have to upload and create UPCs for the whole product, for the whole product lineup. Then you have to put that into your systems. Then you got to get the photographer. You got to schedule the photos. Then you have to make the commercials, and then you have to launch it. And then you got to get the social media guy, which is Graham for us, who does our marketing. You got to hand over all the ads for them so your customers know about it. It's a symphony of things that you have to be ready to rock to drop a rod model. And for us, that used to be really fast, really simple. Matter of fact, we could just take some pictures on our iPhone, upload it, and launch a product. Nowadays, with us shipping from coast to coast and all these other variables like we were talking about, putting racking in this warehouse, the new warehouse, there's a lot. You can't just hit launch now anymore. It takes a lot more preparation to get to launch day. But it's like going into a restaurant to eat. Us, the customers, we just see that the food's ready. There was a lot of behind the scenes getting stuff lined up.
Awesome. We've got a comment. A Cadillac said Black Hellcats ?
Yeah, now that is something that Josh Brown and several guys have been saying, like, dude, we'd like to see that from Catch the Fever. And, with Catch the Fever, anything is possible. Anything is possible. You never know what you're going to see come up next. But, yeah, you never know. You never know. But I can promise you, if we do it or if we come up with it, it's going to be dynamite. It's going to be
awesome.
Dynamite.
So speaking of the Hellcat, Not It Fishing said would love to see a Catch the Fever landing net.
Yeah, I know, right? That would be sweet.
That would be cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's the difference? So obviously you released the Big Cat Fever rods first. So then obviously there was a big hype that from the transition or addition, I should say, not transition, into the Hellcat rod series. So kind of walk us through the differences between the Big Cat Beaver rods and the Hellcat rods.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys will pick it up right initially, and you could blindfold them. They're easily able to identify which one is a Hellcat and which one's a Big Cat Fever, just because a Big Cat Fever, well, in the past was a solid blank, and now it is more of a composite. But the majority of that rod is an S-glass blank. So you got a glass rod, so it's going to be a lot heavier. I mean, it's super durable, and Jesus, Zach was on the Sky Pier pulling up grouper and stuff out of it. That blank is really durable. We wanted to transition as a company, and there are things we're working right now for launching October and November of next year that the market is really actually at CatCon. We should have a rod model that guys are going to be like, wait a minute, hold on. we are constantly trying to do things like lighten a rod, improve as far as like how the action is, how fast that backbone comes in. And with the Hellcat rod, we want to make a rod that's much lighter, but it can do anything to get the job done. And that's where the Hellcat was born, where you've got more of carbon material with the S-Class blank to make a Hellcat, which is just a composite, do-it-all rod. I mean, you see the guys down in Florida pulling gators on that thing left and right. You see us flying out to Idaho to put stuff on that. I mean, we really put the R&D in with the Hellcat models, and the market has showed, because we can't get enough of them. So, but we're already working on what we can do to improve that, and also do stuff that guys may not have seen yet. So.
That's one thing that I've always noticed is, I mean, there's no telling. With the next stuff that comes out, it's always like this. It's always a first.
If you think you've seen the best from Catch Fever, you just hold on and wait till next year. You ain't seen nothing.
Absolutely.
You ain't seen nothing. We're excited. It's gonna be fire.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk a little bit about the industry. So obviously, I know when I grew up, what do you always see on TV every Saturday morning? Bass fishing, the Bassmasters. And now you've got, I mean, crappie fishing is exploding. Catfishing is exploding. It's starting to get there anyway. How have you seen that, and where do you see it going? So like from, growing up, how has the hype changed in terms of the spread of different species, and where do you think, that's going in the future?
Yeah, for catfishing, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit for catfishing right now. That has definitely still got a long way to go. When I hear people say like, "Oh man, the catfish rod market or the catfish market is saturated," things have fell off and stuff like that. That's not true. Our mindset a lot of times is capped. Catch the Fever, we've been around for 8 years, and we have maintained a 38 to 41% growth each and every single year. And with that kind of growth, like I've told people, like, you can die to the success, because as you get bigger and more things have to happen to meet that market need, or you either scale back and just service that market and then it feels like it is capped, or you have to go to that next level and then see that you hadn't even touched the market yet. As far as catfishing, from my eyes now, with everything I've learned last year and this year, catfishing is so undersaturated. It is the fastest growing thing that I've ever seen. There's so much more to go, and for catfishing, it really is. And I'm, just a hint, like, we're not gonna always stay on the rod side of it. We're going to expand this market, and we're going to try to revolutionize this industry and do some big things to help satisfy those needs to the market. But catfishing is going to continue exploding. There's nothing else that's 100 pounds in 30 minutes from somebody's house that they can go catch, and without having to have a saltwater budget, So catfish is going to continue to expand. Crappie fishing is going through definitely some transitions. You got a lot of pro anglers there. This tournament that I was at, it's big money. It costs you a lot to set up at those events. It costs you a lot of money. It's $3,000 an entry fee when you're fishing that. Yes, sir. And I mean, if you're a brand, if you got anglers going there that's going to fish for your brand, it's $3,000 an entry fee. But I mean, they're prizes. I mean, they're advertising $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 payouts. So crappie is coming into that where, you really don't want to just slide into the crappie market, because it is getting to it's already at that stage where I think like catfish hasn't got to yet, where they are, but you're seeing more of it. You're seeing more, like catfish is not far behind, where you're seeing this really well structured, high entry fees, brands being able to pay anglers and do that type of thing to advertise their products. And it's just crappie just has to get organized, and just be the camaraderie needs to be there, and cheering for one another, and not looking at, okay, who's this guy fishing for, who is this. Anytime there's a lot of growth, there can be some confusion and some structure issues, but they are right there on the cuff of like really exploding, and that's going to continue to grow as well. You're going to see crappie continue to grow, and anytime you're going into a market that is starting to get that real strong structure, it takes a whole different approach to compete and make products for those guys, because when you go into a new market, that's the guys are the best, and it's structured like that. I mean, there's $30,000 cameras being filmed there. I mean, there's $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 being given away, advertised on those tournaments. I mean, that takes a lot for a guy to say, I want to use his crappie rods. So Catfish is right behind that. Catfish is right behind that for sure. I think it could even make it more alluring just because of the fact that crappie don't get 100 pounds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that the one thing that, for me, when I used to be a bassman, growing up, I was always chasing the largemouth, and I've caught some really big largemouth. But one thing that I was always looking for is something bigger, something stronger, and it wasn't like a lot of people call catfishing the lazy man fishing, and you can turn it into that. I mean, you can pull up a lawn chair and throw out a rod with some chicken liver on it and call it a day. But
I mean, you can say the same thing for crappie fishing, putting it on a slip bobber, casting it out there, and waiting for it to go down. Yeah,
right. But it was the challenge for me when I realized how big that these things can get. Like you said, it was like, I don't have to drive to the coast to do that. And I mean, you look at some of the places even around us. I mean, Kerr Lake has produced the 3 largest documented blue catfish ever caught. I mean, when you look at the maximum there, and you get places like the James River, like you mentioned, where, I mean, you can go up there and put 5 fish, or 2 or 3 fish in the 60s or better in the same day. And people will go, I mean, you had a good day out there. It's I think that's where, like you said, that's just, it's key. It's the challenge. It's the the size of these fish, and really, that's what got me. I mean, I started off with channel cats, and it was like, I mean, these things fight harder. They're getting bigger, and it was a lot of fun. But how do you think the brands, like you guys, all the different brands out there, influence the growth of the industry? So, like, all of the catfishing brands out there, how do you think that you guys influence the growth of catfishing?
Oh yeah, you absolutely, brands absolutely, encourage growth, because there's been so many times where through our marketing and stuff, you just go through the comments and they're like, oh my goodness, I never knew they got that big. And then, Amanda is our office manager. She takes the calls and they're like, hey, look, I'm getting into catfishing. I saw like some of them fish that y'all bring in, like, had no idea what rod do I need to use. And it really does grow the market, and also expanding people's view on more product selection and stuff like that in different categories that grow the market. And brands have a huge part in growing the market, and not only growing the market for dollars and sales, but they're a huge responsible. They're majorly responsible for how anglers act and conduct themselves. I can say this because I'm a cat fisherman. I came from cat fishermen. I came from blue collar. If my thing is, it's like, if you fish for something else, you're coming from a different market, you're talking about the catfish guys, like, you need to hush your mouth, because we're a tight-knit community. But if I got something to say about cat fishermen, I don't think nothing about it, because I'm talking to me too. And the issue is that, like, with the cat fishermen and how we have to conduct ourselves as a brand, is a lot of us who are cat fishermen are blue collar. We're tradesmen. I tell people all the time, our showroom is the busiest when it rains. Why? Because pike. They ain't up there running power lines. They ain't out there digging the holes because they're filling up with water. I mean, all the blue collar jobs in America, the guys that America relies on is the blue collar man, and that guy's out there catfishing, and that guy, a lot of the times, me included, we want to be like rough and tough. Like, nobody's going to tell me, screw that guy, that's just who we are. And as a company, if you're making products and you are telling people like, hey, it's okay to act like that and represent our products, or market to that hard mentality instead of saying, you know what, it's going to be maybe like a little bit of a time in transition. We're going to promote respecting a fellow angler. We're going to promote premium in how we hold ourselves and how we respond, or if we don't respond, we're going to focus on the product and help this generation of catfish anglers. You know, I mean, everything from fishing tournaments to representing the brand. That is all stuff, and how we act. That is all stuff that's going to help the catfishing community grow. And I know, dude. I've been in it'd blow your mind in the last 5 months. Some of the meetings sitting in on some of these places. I think I told you before, like when I flew back, sitting in some of these places with some of the people at the table, and you hear. I mean, these are people that make decisions, man. These are people that decide what goes into Walmart, what goes into Academy, what goes into this, and they're just like, this crowd is just, they're not ready. They're not ready. They're not organized. You know, it just like, just gripe it. I'm like, that's not it at all. Like, I don't look at it like that at all. They're waiting for us to reshape, get that structure. You're starting to see that with some of these tournaments. You're starting to see guys dial in to like their setups and stuff, and washing their boat once a month. You know, like they're starting in the market. They're starting to see like, maybe we should pour some money into this. Maybe we should invest in Catfish. Like, you know, it's starting to come around. It's starting to come around. But it's the brand's job to hold a standard. And if I went on Facebook today and I was calling like, hey, this company over here, blah, 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 you know, once again, watching what I'm doing, blah, 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 you know, that's going to tell my anglers and my customers that it's okay, and, to do that. So it's our responsibility as companies. And the crappie, and I'm talking to the crappie audience too, crappie, the catfish, and the striper, to focus on making products and moving the needle. And at the same time, helping anglers have an example on, here's how I'm going to act as an angler, here's how I'm going to get better, and here's how I'm going to bring people into the sport.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you said it best. I mean, you know, we're all on the same team at the end of the day. We all share the same passion.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we're all going out on the water to, I mean, and just enjoy time on God's. We're on God's time on this earth, and
that's right, man.
You know, we can spend it on the water with good people, with laughs. I think that's another big thing is if you can't go out there and just have fun, whether you catch fish or not, then I mean, I think that's a whole nother issue. But how do you think? You know, obviously we're live on TikTok right now, and I utilize social media quite a bit. How do you think social media has influenced, you know, not only, you know, the brand and how you market but also, you know, marketing the industry itself? How has social media influenced fishing in general?
Social media is the major driver in what is for fishing, for any business. If you're selling Bibles, you know, you need to be on social media. You need to be utilizing TikTok. You need to be utilizing Facebook, Instagram, all these platforms. You need to be utilizing it. Some people say that, you know, Facebook is absolutely, or social media is absolutely ruined fishing and stuff like that. And I really think that that's more of a mindset. I'll be honest with you. I mean, when I went fishing, even of recent, you know, to film stuff with the crew, we were never out there while we were catching fish like, oh my gosh, Facebook, there's Facebook coming down the lake, you know, like ruining my day. No, it was a beautiful day. There was other people out there fishing. We were catching fish. We were having a good time.
Yeah.
It's all in what you want to identify, you know, and my timeline on Facebook, if I pull it up, it has no competitors on there. It has nothing. It is literally just positive people. When I go out on fishing and I see somebody in the spot I was going to head to, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to try something new over here. But social media is definitely influenced. But if you think that social media is in the catfish industry and the fishing industry is just full of drama and all like that, you need to change. You need to change who you follow on Facebook, because social media is such a huge positive thing for fishing. I wouldn't want to change it one bit. It has allowed us to literally hire people, grow a company, and learn stuff. I mean, from seeing people do it. We're doing this on TikTok. Like you said, people are learning things about the industry. I mean, social media is a great thing. It's only a bad thing or feels depressing and stuff when somebody's getting on it, using it improperly. And me, I love sharing stuff on social media. It's a huge driver in the industry, and it can spread a lot of good or a lot of bad. So, you know.
Oh yeah, and like you said, it's about not only it's about how you use it.
Yeah.
It's about what you're what you're using it for.
Yeah.
And obviously even when I was growing up, I say this like I'm old, but I'm only 28. But even when I was growing up, I mean, the marketing was either TV commercial, maybe a billboard, or the newspaper. I mean, and you're taking everything that you got in these in the newspapers, and you're combining them with the ability to, I mean, like on TikTok, we've talked about when you get on TikTok Live, it's not only just the people that you've selected to follow, but you can reach a whole different level of people.
Yeah, it's all your mindset, and that's really the key to life is your mindset with everything. It is your mindset. You want to know what holds us back? Right here. It's ourselves. It's our own mindset. Because if you're an angler, for instance, let's say you're an angler and you're like, social media is the worst thing that ever happened to fishing. You have the greatest opportunity to work for customers. I mean, work with brands and I mean, really have some good times, because before Facebook, social media and stuff, we all had to be at the tournament. Well, guess what? If I weren't at your boat ramp fishing that tournament, I wouldn't know that such and such is winning. You know what I mean? Like, we had to pick up the phone. I mean, I've never seen him before. I can't see, what the guy looks like. Or, now we have these platforms where we can show companies what we do, how we do it, bring people in, draw people into the industry, which creates more anglers, which companies want to work with. You as an angler have an amazing opportunity, more opportunity now than you've ever had in our entire lives. I remember like early in business, I used to say, man, these companies that's been around for like 80, 100 years, they had it easy. There was no competition. That was the dumbest thing to think of I have ever seen. They literally had to mail letters. You're going to get somebody to buy your product. You had to mail every letter. And then billboards. People started getting picked up by the airport, and they'd ride by and they would look at billboards, and that's how they would run. Then TV, and it's like, oh, now that's where they advertise there. Dude, we got it made now. We get on social media. If I want to find out something about you, what this kind of angler this person is, how they hold themselves, what kind of company this is, what their mission statement is, I can go down your timeline. I can figure out in 2 seconds. It's a great opportunity. It's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. And obviously, I saw Chunky. Chunky was on here.
Yeah.
He is
Chunky.
Exploded. And I think, because like with people, like I've had people come to me and say, sometimes it seems like you only do it for the social media, and almost sometimes it can seem kind of braggy. And I think, in some ways, some people can have that, but I think it's also a way that you can document without, we had photo albums back in the day where you had to get Polaroids, you had to get them printed, and then you had to get them processed. And now, and one thing that I know at least that I like to do, one reason I love to post pictures from Facebook, I like to, tell people that, hey, I didn't get skunked today. It's not just a sunrise or a sunset picture like I'm prepared to take at the end of every trip, but it's for me to look back and, these memories. You look at like Facebook or TikTok, memories that come back and go, on this day, I was here and I caught this, and it kind of brings you back.
It does.
And I think it can allow you to be a better angler with some of these tools. So, like you said, I think social media can be awesome tool, and it's awesome to hear it from the business standpoint as well, and
Yeah.
just seeing, like whether it's just short TikTok videos or these ads or whatever it is, you're able to reach this big, large audience. One last question. You were an angler, obviously, and you still are. What advice do you have for people that are, wanting to get, passionate about, catfishing, or, they just don't know where to start? How did you start, and what have you learned as an angler that has really helped you succeed?
Yeah, again, it goes back to social media and the internet and all that stuff, how we have everything. There's no excuses for any of us not to get where we want to go. And what I would recommend, and like what I did when I was on my lunch break, I was reading about shad habits and what do they eat and plankton. All right, where does plankton grow? Okay, under the lights, and then it does this. In the summertime, it grows on the top of the water at this temperature, and then in the wintertime it falls off. The shad go to the back of the creeks because now there's not as much algae that's in the water. Now they're having to feed on nutrients that floats on top of the water. Like all those things back then, like those are readily available. You don't have to have a dad that was a guide or work with a pro fisherman or anything like that. Like what you wouldn't do if you want to go somewhere in the fishing industry or just become a regular just angler. When you go out there, you're going to catch them. Get online and learn everything you can about that species so you're knowledgeable, and then know about and learn about the gear. That's what I did. And I mean, some of the combos that I had back then, which wasn't that long ago, people think that like I've been doing this like since like I was little, or my dad's G Loomis or something. Like that's not the case. Dude, like I mean, I was broke as a joke using like combos. I mean, like it was a ratchet combo. I have not seen anybody as ratchet as my combos were. Just like 11, 12 years ago. I mean, it was just, if I could, not even yard sale stuff. I had a wife at the time who was going through school for doctoring now, but education through that. I was the only real provider in our family, so like I didn't have money to go out here and spend, or hire a guide. So just get online, focus on learning the basics. If you can't hire a guide, then go into getting with a guide, getting knowledgeable about the body of water that you're thinking about fishing, and then get you some gear that fits your budget. And go out there and get the best gear that you can afford to get. The best gear you can afford to get. If that is a $30 rod, get it over the $7 one. If that is an $80 rod, get it. Or if that's a $200 or $300, doesn't matter, because that will help you save money on having to sell it, get more, because that's what I had to do before the Big Cat Fever Rod Series. But get the gear you need, and then go out there and do it for yourself first. That's the biggest thing. Do it for yourself. Want to prove to yourself that you're new into this market and that you can dominate and that you can go out there and catch them, anytime. You can take your child or a loved one or fish a tournament and know you're going to do good. Do it for that self-pride first. Once you do it to build up some steam and you're doing it for you, that's when you really fall in love with it. And that's when you share your content and you put it out there, that's when people fall in love with you. And we're in a generation and we're in a time and where people are not focused on that. They're focused on, okay, I just seen this. My friend just got Prostaff. I'm going to go buy this company's rods. I mean, we have people now that call us and say, hey, this company's offering me this for their rods. What are you offering? What are you going to offer me? And I'll fish with your products. And I'm like, I go with them, because that's not how we operate. We make gear for the angler who loves what he wants to do, and we know that it's gonna do well. But if you're a guy that wants to make it in fishing, don't be one of those guys that's just fishing for a sponsorship, because I know those guys don't last. And go out there and fish because you love it. Go out there because you want to learn how to catch fish and you fall in love with it, and then you want to educate others. And that's when the brands show up. And for me, people say, well, I've won all these tournaments back to back to back to back, and Catch Fever ain't reached out to me, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, our standards are just, I mean, if you're not Fish for Catch Fever, it's not that you are below standards. That is not it at all. There is so much that's involved. But with us, we don't have a huge staff, and we really want to work with the staff we've got. So for us, one of the main things that we look for is all those steps we talked about before. But if you're out there crushing the tournaments and you're like, man, I mean, I'm well represented, I'm doing this, a lot of times we're just watching to see how you're going to act and how you're going to handle the pressure when you start winning. Because there's so many times that a guy wins, and he's doing really good. He's got that new boat and looks like he's got it going on, but he's just an absolute jerk behind the scenes, and nobody likes him. And for us, I don't care if you catch 1,000 pounds of fish or if you catch 100 pounds of fish. I don't care if you've won every single tournament going across the country. If you're a jerk, you're not fishing for this brand, bro. Like, that's our standard. We don't tolerate that. So getting guys that you can see how they're going to act when opportunity comes to them. I love working with guys that's already had offers, and they say, "Nah, I wanted to hold out for this." Because, like this last weekend when I was just in Alabama, holding some of the meetings that we talked to at night, there was some big opportunities that I was holding out for, and people are going to find out about. But there was some big opportunities. I was like, we had this opportunity, but I wanted this. I wanted you guys. I wanted y'all. Like, this was it, and it finally come. But you know how long it took? Almost 9 years to get there. So it's like a guy doesn't have to wait 9 years to get, Prostaffing, Catch Fever, or ambassador. But how a man is when you're just constantly working and improving yourself and sticking with it and not just, oh, I'm just going to come over here, But if you do go somewhere else, just make sure it's a good fit for you. If you go somewhere other than Catch the Fever, I'm happy for you, man. That's good. That's great. Their rods are different than our rods, or they have avenues and promotional ways that fit your needs better. Pick what you want, fish for you, and I promise you, what you want, you stick it out there, fruition comes.
You as always, couldn't have said it better myself. I know you've got a lot of things to do today. Do you have any questions for me or any final thoughts as we come to the conclusion of this awesome adventure we've gone on in the past hour?
Well, I'm thankful for you, Bobby. You're doing an awesome job trying to bring people in and grow the sport and share stuff with people. This has been great. I know we talked before. I was coming back from Alabama, then going to be here, then turn around, flying out again. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to make sure we do this because this is important. And I remember, starting out, I wanted to know every single thing I could from the industry side to the product side, so I knew what I needed to do to be a light in the sport or to catch more fish. And what you're doing makes a difference. And the thing that you're doing that separates a lot is you got an idea, you got something good going here, and you're acting on it. You're carrying it out, and it's really opened doors for you. And I think it's going to continue to do that. And I'm glad you asked me. And if I wouldn't, if we couldn't have done it today, I'm going on vacation, so I might have had to do it afterwards. Right. But I will always cancel something in a heartbeat if you want to do something like this that's going to help other anglers.
Absolutely. Sure. And that means the world to me. Tony's blowing up with the ice strings, 1 ton with the roses. Y'all, I appreciate y'all sending all the gifts. I appreciate y'all tuning in and obviously all of y'all's support. As always, it does mean the world. My closing thought on this is we just recently did the 10,000 follower giveaway. We hit that, and we spoke a little bit about it during the giveaway, but I just can't thank you enough for everything that not only you've done for me as of recently, but from the get-go, just from, like we said, going back to the just the trip with Zach and just going out there, never met you before, and said, you know what, we'll do it. And just every step of the way, you guys have always been here, and I just want to thank you guys for everything that you do for me. And also, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say, a lot of people look up to you. I can say, like I said, and we talked before this, a lot of people have reached out to me and just say, how much they enjoy the product and how much that people really are holding, this company to a high standard and saying, I want to be, what does it take to be a part of this team? When I hear those kind of questions and just seeing that people are really out here and people respect the brand and respect you guys and what you guys have done for the industry so much that they say, like you said, I want to be a part of this team, this family. Yeah. Not this team, like you said.
The family.
This family.
That's right.
And it's incredible to see how much you guys have grown. And I'm just blessed to have been here for at least part of the ride. And like I said, all of you guys in the comments, and tuning in, I wanted you guys to know, man, this brand and these people, I mean, there's no words for the appreciation that I have for you guys. And
we're going to be doing a lot more. I tell people, I've had meetings with tournament directors here in the last month. We've had meetings with employees. We've had meetings with anglers. And we're at a very blessed place in this company and where we're about to pivot to really just launch. And it's unsurreal, and we're excited to unveil like everything coming out, but we're going to make sure that everybody who has helped us get here is going to be around, to ride it with us. Zach was a huge player with there. You're going to see things coming from him, and he deserves to be in this spot, working with you, doing these podcasts. We've been there when we were there fishing, when we hadn't even sold 300 rods yet, us hanging out on that boat. It don't matter now if we're selling 50,000 rods a year. We're going to take time and we're going to do stuff like this. It's always going to be grassroots, and this brand has always been about faith, family, and fishing, and we're going to walk it. We're going to talk it. We're going to walk it. So great things are coming for everybody in the family, and that includes our customers. Our customers are family. When they say, I don't, can you do a podcast with him, or I live way over here. If we see you, you come to CatCon, you're family. We ain't gonna run you off. We don't even care if you use our stuff. I mean, we really don't. If you're a catfish angler, I can't tell you how many tournaments here recently. I walk up, shake somebody's hand, and I'm talking to them, and blah, blah, we're just going at it. And then I go back over here, and they're like, man, I can't believe you. What did he say? And I'm like, who? He's like, such and such, man. That's the guy that he put on Facebook that such and such, like, man, I ain't using these products, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know. Like, that even happened. To me, if he's at this tournament and he's fishing it, bro, he's family. You know what I mean? So, like, it don't matter. It don't matter. If you're a fisherman, you're family. So.
Well, one thing I want to see, and there's just quite a bit, but from the get-go, I've got so many people on here just wanting to show, tell their appreciation and, how much that they appreciate you.
Well,
and just scrolling through the comments, and Not At Fishing highlights it. Just how thankful and humble that you and Tony are. That's what makes you guys great. I mean, you guys are awesome, and like I said, I'm blessed to be a part of the ride and a part of the family, and I gotta let Kaleb get back. He's got obviously a lot of meetings and stuff that he's got to do, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we've got some big names coming up as well in the next coming weeks, so stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for what Catch the Fever has in store, because
it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a ride.
Yep.
Y'all have a blessed day. Thank y'all for tuning in, and Kaleb, thank you for doing this, my man.
Thank you, and 1 ton for life.
1 ton for life, you guys. Y'all have an awesome day.